Hi, everybody. This is the self-awareness activity debrief for the week of March 10th. So I'm redoing it because I needed to change something in the other one, and I put the cards away, so I'm not holding them up for you. But they were power and compassion and quiet. So the power one was asking you to notice the difference between wise power that comes from the center, that is wise, coming from source, heart-centered, compassionate, that has the ability to be flexible and change and grow according to what's best for all concerned. Versus force, which is very ego-driven and tends to be one-directional and is not taking into account the fact that maybe things need to be adjusted. It's very determined in one direction. So power versus force. The way I will call it would be higher conscious mind directed energy versus personality directed energy. The card you were being asked to, the energy you were being asked to embody was compassion. And compassion is asking you to try to move towards curiosity, questioning, and keeping an open heart and an open mind, as opposed to moving towards judgment and blame. Okay? And then the card you were being asked was quiet, and that one was actually suggesting as an activity that you stay away from radio broadcasts, media, basically anything that is going to be bringing in a lot of information to you from the external world. So it's basically designed to kind of keep you quiet and predominantly only within your energy and your local energy and not getting stuff from the rest of the world. So what I'm going to ask you to do is look back over your week, and let's start with a personal level. Were there any areas in your life where you found that the issue of power versus force was coming up with you? So the way you may have noticed it was people pushing your boundaries, people stepping in and trying to get you to do things that you didn't want to do, or trying to tell you you should think things you shouldn't think, telling you you should think things they think and not think what you think. That there are a lot of different ways to have people try to exert force on you. It can be manipulation, it can be downright threats, it can be all sorts of different subtle things. So did you notice that coming up in your life? And if you didn't notice it coming up in your life this week, did you notice it with friends around you coming up in theirs, or did it remind you of different times in your life where you felt like somebody was trying to exert a force on you that basically was for their benefit, not yours? And compassion. Were you able to stay in that energy and look at whatever happened from an energy of compassion? How that might have shifted. So remember, if compassion is leaning towards curiosity and understanding and open-heartedness, and really kind of taking it from a perspective of not giving everybody the benefit of the doubt, but really more the idea of let's take it up a notch and look at this from a higher frequency, from a higher conscious mind, rather than from the ego self, which is affected, offended, hurt, whatever. And then the quiet. Now, oh my gosh, with social media, and so many of us are so connected right now. I mean, just the fact that this is on YouTube says we're pretty connected. So if that's the case, then were you able to cut it out, or were you able to at least cut it back? And I know it's particularly difficult right now, but before I go into that, how did that affect your ability to stay in a state of compassion and not get pulled into power and force issues? Now, of course, what we see going on globally is a perfect example of force, ego-directed force. And I'm not just talking North America, I'm talking globally right now. Ego-directed force versus wise power. And what's so fascinating as we see that is that we see the retaliation coming up. We see the conflict that comes up with this. And it can bring it up in us too. So let's look at this energetically, because I think this is really important to look at. I think this is a really powerful exercise, and I think the guides were brilliant in giving it to us last week, because I think this is really foundational to so much of what our learning opportunity is now. We're talking about a world of energy, right? We're looking at play out and things that look really practical in economics and political boundaries and alliances and all of that stuff. But ultimately, what we're doing here is our frequency is raising. The planet is raising. The frequency of the planet is raising, and as it is raising, all this stuff's going to come to the surface, right? Well, what's our job here for people who want to be aware for the purpose of raising our consciousness? That's where being aware of staying in our compassionate heart really plays out. Because whatever we engage in and whatever we focus on, we amplify. So the irony of it is, or maybe it's not really ironic, the fundamental nature of it is that the loudest energy is the easiest to entrain with. So when we entrain something, we actually build it, right? If this energy is going like this, and we're over here nice peacefully going la 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 la, and it's going here, and we get caught up in it, then we go here, and what do we have? We have twice as much. We don't want to build that in the world around us. Our job, if we are looking at our job as raising the consciousness of the planet, our job is to absolutely understand where behaviors are not in alignment with our wise heart and stand for it in whatever way we are able. But to stay in our wise heart and not get pulled down into that ego-driven energy that is just trying to get us engaged in more ego-driven energy from our perspective. This is where we get to grow. And it's not always easy. I found this week extremely challenging, not just on a global level, but even when I find people trying to force their political opinion on me. Go away. But I digress. I need to look at everybody with compassion. I need to be able to say, I don't agree with you, or I do not want to have that discussion with you, and still maintain compassion rather than go away and think attack thoughts or negative thoughts or ego thoughts, right? Ego thoughts, you know what I mean, in terms of power force. That's what I'm talking about. So what's the easiest way to do that? The easiest way is to get quiet, to cut out the chatter. If you know that it's going to irritate you and you're not going to be able to stay in your wise heart, don't engage. Don't listen. Don't doom scroll. Don't speak with people that you know are going to be just interested in having a conflict, because that's where they get their adrenaline and juice. Just know what's good for you. This is compassionate for yourself too, being compassionate for yourself. Where have you been compassionate in terms of staying out of that and staying with yourself, staying with your wise heart, staying in alignment with what feels good so you bring more good? So you are one of those beacons of light on this planet, in this energy matrix. What are you feeding the planet? It serves the planet for you to be compassionate. Doesn't mean bury your head in the sand. Not at all. Not politically, not personally, not in any situation. But if we're looking at this life, which if you're looking at these channels, I suspect you are, if you're looking at this life as a point of growth and understanding the nature of who we really are, then part of that is understanding that that's part of who everybody is. And that helps us stay in compassion. So I think I went on a little bit of a rant there, but I think these are all really valuable things to consider. And I will say I'm going to do another awareness activity, self-awareness activity. I've already pulled the cards for it, and I'm going to do that as a follow-up. But I think that this exercise that we've just done is really, really valuable to keep in mind. And I would keep it on the back burner, if not on the front burner, as we're going through these times where we are inundated with it. Because even if we're not listening, we are seeing it in our stores. We're seeing the effects on our neighbors, on people around us, and, friends that we have across the globe. And I really mean literally across the globe, not just next door. Okay? So, my friends, that is it. I hope this was helpful. I hope this helps keep you in a space where whatever is difficult going on around with power and force and consciousness and ego can be something that actually brings you some growth in a way that also enhances your peace and your own personal power, wise power. Okay? I'm going to stop now. Thank you for being patient, for those of you who stuck it out. Good night.